Greetings everyone, this is Lodrik again, and this is our game War in the Pacific Advanced Edition. And today we want to check the next turn in our game against THG. So this will be the 18th April 1942 turn. And compared to the dojo game, this is not really my game. I only took this now over. So this is a typical mess up game. It is also only a 1 day turn game. So you can change orders and commands every day. Not like in dojo where you always you give commands and then you have 2 days. Your commanders will execute these orders and try their best to not get killed and kill the enemy. Okay, here we can still see there are, let's say in this game, in this situation, there are simply nearly everywhere submarines. Because the players before not understand anti-submarine warfare, and maybe I really don't want to say too much again, but I really don't know what they were thinking. Maybe they were thinking nothing, I don't know. And I just only start to create some special task forces for submarine hunting, like here. I mean, this is not the best sub hunter, but at least we have patrol ships. Always try to engage with submarines, and means more or less their patrol ships maybe not really damaged. In this case, we damaged a little, but this is often far too less. You need 10 hits or like this to really force the submarine to return, because this hits often only make small damage. Maybe each hit is 2-3 hit points damage, so maybe we make now 10 hit points damage, something like this. I don't expect much more, but at least this will keep this enemy submarines busy. Here you can see here are everywhere submarines, so but luckily most of the submarine attacks failed so far. I think June, July, there's an upgrade for the American Mark 14 torpedoes, and I think every 6 months is there. I think the success chance of American submarines with Mark 14 torpedoes will increase. So up to now, the Japanese can maybe say, they try to attack us, but they always fail, or nearly always fail. But this is only a question of time that will change. And on the other hand, if your Japanese don't start early on to hunt down enemy American Allies submarines, the Allies, they producing also a lot of submarines compared to the, I think, even double than the size than the Japanese produce. So it gets not better, it only gets more worse. The torpedoes getting better and there are more submarines. So yeah. These turns are also still have the, let's say, not aggressive agreement with THG, because if THG want, he can more or less crash now Japan very easily. I mean, let's say he cannot win the game in the next 2-3 months, but he can more or less cripple many of this Japanese stuff. So we have here again, I think this is a typical Mark 14 submarine. You can see here near to Singapore, and normally this is a no-go, but you can also see here more submarines. And normally I must get rid of them all, but the most important is to take normally Manila. Manila we have, but I think Batavia is still in Ally, and so the Allies still have a big port here in this area where he can supply and maintenance his submarines. So this is really the number one task for me. Get rid of Batavia. And I also try to create some sub-hunter air groups, but many have shitty training. So I just start with this, and it's normally 1 month to have effect. So much to do. Little bombardment, but not good raining, and 2 less bombers. Here we can see that one of THG's, I think it was one of the last units behind the line. At least a unit I can see, because there are still many hacks with shadow. So maybe there's something hiding, but at the end I only care that I control the bases. If he stays somewhere here, and the railway is key. Oh, the little stuff left here, Sumatra. THG still try to bomb our units trying to retreat. And here, because I just create here a new airbase, and I bring at least some units here. They are not really perfect so far, but and also the numbers are too small, but at least they are the first units I try to create here a new Chinese Air Force, because for some reason there was no Chinese Air Force left for Japan. So, I mean, like I said before, this game is mess. And normally turn by turn I have less and less the feeling that it really makes sense to play this, but I keep it on, I do what I can, but it's not really for fun or like this. It's only to keep it running. Okay, so these are normally now bombers without ad cores, so we maybe will kill here some units. Not much that we can really kill. Officially we killed 1 bomber here now. Later at the end of the turn we can check. Maybe there's a little more damage. Okay, we report a hit, but I still believe that that the true hit chances, I mean, if there's a reported hit, then I roughly calculate for myself that only 25% of these reported hits are really true hits, maximum a third. Okay, here we have some Blenheims 4, the same like before. So far THG can use more or less bombers here for free, because there was no Air Force, and now we try to interdict some of the stuff. So the problem is I don't know if I can keep this up long time, because the numbers I have and the skills of my pilots are simply too low to really battle with the THG's Air Force here in China. So I only can do this maybe cap up, and then I must ground my Air Force again. So far I really don't have the numbers. I cannot do this really on to try to control the airspace non-stop like I do with Dojo. In Dojo's game I simply, more or less from day one, I already try to keep the control. Here's now one submarine. We make a 8 centimeter hit in the submarine, but now we have the hit on our... This is a good cargo ship, 12-13 points like this. Also, don't ask me why, but for some reason the players before, they decide to convert a lot of these good cargo ships to ammunition transport, troop transport ships, aka I really find nearly no reason to go for AKAs, because if you have a good port installation with enough Navy support stuff, and if your ports are okay and you have understand something with logistic, you nearly don't need AKAs. But yeah, it's a good cargo ship. I tried to bring it, I think, this is here near to Truk. I think I just won't enter Truk because I want bunch them together, bring them back to Japan, and then convert them back to something I can really use. But we just won't arrive Truk. And so you can see this is also normally in Truk you have at least, you don't need much more, but you need only one float plane squadron with 20 or 24 units, and they run in search. And search alone will normally tell you there are submarines. They really not attack the submarines, but you know there are submarines, and then you have some sub-hunter task forces nearby, and they will normally attack the submarine. Or it make it very hard for the submarine to attack. But in this case, we lost this unit. But I really don't care much. Here also more or less the same situation. At least we have your one destroyer can maybe attack back. And this is also shallow water. Normally this is a good situation, but we cannot find submarine. This can happen always. I mean, even the best sub-hunter can sometimes not find the target. Especially Japanese ships are not the best sub-hunters. So it was normally okay turn. Lose a good cargo ship is of course a little pity. But it have not really the big impact in this game mode. At least we finish here one of the British base forces, I think. Yeah, it was a base force left behind long time ago. Never cleaned up. Okay. So not much activity, but this is related to the agreement with THG that I have some days. Let's say I must only hunt the shitty submarines, and still this little submarines, or not little, but even the submarine threat already make me some headache. Okay. So we saw, let's say, intelligence report. So 5 kills in the air, nothing lost, and 2 to 3 operational losses. I think this is okay, nothing special. And the daily kills. So we killed 3 Blenheims, all killed, no operational losses. And also he lost 3 of these Russian bombers, 2 killed by air and 1 operational losses. And we had only some operational losses at all. No kill today on our side. So 7 to 3, this is okay. But I mean, of course, the Allies, at that stage of the war, I think they don't care more this kind of numbers. You must kill 10 or 20 per day to still hurt them. Okay, and ship sunks today was... this is a cargo ship and this was an APD. I had to... It was burned down and it was not possible to fix it, so we lost this more or less last turn already, because if you more or less if the ship arrived at the port here in Osthaven, I tried to fix it, but this was not possible. The fire was too strong, and he has no base. You see, he's a small port, but no navy support, so nothing really help you with firefighting. And if you more or less agree to cancel the ship, to scrap the ship, you lose the ship, but you can save the captain. I mean, not that really, these are standard captains, they are only merchant ship, they have nothing special, but I also was not sure if maybe the rules of points are different, but I don't think so, because normally ships will always create victory points for the owner. And now I lost the ship, so I also lost the 9 points, because I am not more the owner of the ship. And okay, so I cannot tell you much here, because I still moving stuff around, and but you can still see up to now it was not able really. I get the fuel to Singapore, okay, but I still have far too less supplies. I need at least 20,000 plus, and this is lacking here. But I will bring now the fuel from Palembang more. I mean, normally I take all the fuel from Palembang to Singapore. You also can see that here's the fuel limit. It's no 129,000, but we have here over 139. So this base is losing fuel because the tanks are already over full. So if you have this in your game, in the big bases where you produce something, you must make sure that you never have this overproduction stuff, or if you don't want care this, the port plus airfield, the number together must be 9. If you have here, now like 4 is the maximum because I can only go 3 over, but if I make here airfield of 5, there will be no limits, because then the game simply say if you have here a combination of 9, then you have unlimited storage. But now I have a 4 to 4, so there is a limit to storage. And I also have no supplies here to build here anything, so I don't build here any more airfield. So I only will simply take the fuel out, bring to Singapore. This is an easy way. So this is also why I have here now a task force. Normally I will disband it, then I will make a new task force, tanker. And for some reason these ships just started load before there was, I think, I don't know if I did it by mistake or had someone else. They was loading oil, crude oil, but I don't want care the crude oil. I only care the fuel. So I will create now a new task force. You can see I only can take 3 tankers. Then the game tell me, because it's gray out the name, so the port is not more big enough to handle an additional tanker. So I say give me 2 escort ships, and then I say load fuel. Then I say go to Singapore and make this continuously. So he will always go to Singapore, unload the fuel, go back to Palembang, load the fuel, and forward, backward. And this he can do 3-4 times, and then maybe the tanks of Palembang are half empty. Because in Singapore there's no limitation, because we have already a port of 9 plus the airfield. So we have here 15 points, so of course there's unlimited stuff. And you can see that here, this is a carrier fleet I bring to Singapore. Here's our battleship or cruiser formation. This is simply everything what I can catch. There's a other smaller carrier fleet I will maybe bring here from source side, because I know here are at least some submarines operation. Here are submarines and here are submarines, but I cannot see them, but we had always submarine contact here. But I also know that there are submarines here, so it doesn't matter where I go, everywhere are submarines. Because normally you need also a float plane unit here, covers this area, and you need a float plane unit in Balikpapan and in Tarakan, and maybe, I mean, normally if you have a Miri, Tarakan, Balikpapan, and you have float planes, then you will always know where are submarines nearby. You can also maybe have a submarine or a patrol unit maybe in Davao or here, one of these 2 bases, to also cover this area. If you use the Jack float planes with a range of 8, this is fine. You can normally produce float planes easily, and you have normally never really an issue with float plane squadrons, because float plane squadrons are the most easily to handle, because you can always adjust them. You can see you can nearly every float plane unit you can increase to 24. There are really only very little are locked. Let me see if I can find now one. They're all 24. 24. Oh, shitty. Here only all the 24. But sometimes you... nah. Now I really don't know where they are. No. Sometimes you have here the name like will change in March of 43 or like this. If there is a change of a squadron fixed in the game, then you normally cannot change the squadron because I don't know, this is a game rule. If there is a change, maybe some other unit like this one, you can see here change to 36 because now we are at 27, but it will change to 36 in December 42. This is a hard change. And if every unit has this kind of stuff, you can never change normally the size. So far I know there's no way around. But if this once happened, then maybe the game will change to this. No resize allowed, but you can normally always touch it. And then if you are on a float plane carrier, then you can always change to the side of the float plane carrier. And float plane carriers have normally only a size of 20 or 24. And in this case, not here, I think with the battleships. Here. So we have a capacity of 24. These are the two float planes. And you can load them to this float plane tender. You see, then you can always touch it, and then you can change to what size ever you want. It needs always 1 day, so it will not happen immediately, and it only works if there's only one squadron on the ship. So far I know this, it will not change the group size if there's a second squadron on the same ship. The same with carriers. So you better unload a carrier or this kind of scout cruisers and have only one squadron on it, and then you can change always what you want. Okay, so I still move normally stuff around. I organize here stuff. I need here, the biggest supply source I can find for the Japanese is Taiwan. So I have here 75,000 tons of supplies, but I don't need them in Taiwan. Don't know why they are here in Taiwan. So I will bring this all to Singapore. And if I have this supplies, but this needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days that they arrive here, and 7 days to unload them. So maybe in 1 week I have here also support supplies in Singapore. And then I can check my ships and try to fix them. So you can see submarines, and here submarines, and here submarines, and there are, I think, at least the same amount of submarines I cannot find so far. Here's also one submarine, and I will try to, but I don't have here anything. So the problem is really that I showed this before, all the bases have no fuel, so I cannot operate anything because my ships have no fuel. Oh, everything is, I have here really, I try to unload here stuff, and then I have running out of fuel very early on. I make some emergency shipping from Truk. I took more or less all fuel from Truk to Rabaul, and now I start to get fuel to here. But if I go here to the base and then I say rearm, then, or refuel, this is refuel. If you touch your left side, then he will refuel all ships on board, and right side he will rearm all ships. So 10,000 fuel just enter here all these ships only to make them ready to use. And these are only the ships ready in port. These are still all ships under repair, so I don't fill up them because they are not ready to use. You can also see that there is some damage stuff and repair stuff and other, still a lot of things to do. And yeah, so normally after we have some fuel in Rabaul, the next step is normally bring fuel to Tulagi. But I must make it step by step. And every of these tanker forces or AO task forces need a lot of escort because there are too many submarines. And if I lose here now any fuel, then it's getting not better. So, and at the same time I must bring fuel and supplies, because I also have no supplies, funny. I bring it all first to Truk. Fuel, everything. Immediately, as soon as possible. And then because normally the way to Truk is a safe route, so long you can, normally I would expect that Truk is safe, but now I expect nothing more. So that you can normally go to Truk from Japan without escort, or only minimum escort. And then from Truk you will normally increase to normal escort to Rabaul. And from Rabaul I would always say every unit you go out of Rabaul you need at least normally good or strong escort. The problem is if you use always escort, so if you use every escort will burn fuel. And it will only normally go with every task force. It will have no normally, the purpose is only protection. But you cannot go everywhere with maximum escort, or you burn so many fuel that your tankers can never carry so much fuel you need. Especially because because there's no fuel everywhere where I need it. So it's still back in Japan, and I have here still a lot of fuel, but it's in Japan, and I don't need it now in Japan. I need it somewhere else. Okay, but anyway, in China it's still moving back. We arrive here with a task force, so I will use now, because this is a THG small unit here, nothing. This is broken unit, so I don't expect much. And I arrive here with a good intact division, and I will crash this unit now, and then we have here normally no issues more. But this is only not that I have no issues, because I have, of course, in Hong Kong no supplies, only minimum fuel. In Canton also nothing. And still here a lot stuff to move around. The only problem is normally I not even try to bring out any stuff out of now Manchukuo, because I have no supplies in China. So if I bring now the units out of Manchukuo to China, in Manchukuo I have some supplies. Manchukuo is okay. I have here standard supplies like 28,000. This is okay. Here 10,000. And the Mukden is just a little over supplies, because I call here most of my units, and you can see how much power here is. And this will automatically call in a lot of supplies. But I also do this because I want normally get most of this unit as soon as possible on max power. Because if you call all these units in a big city, then you have a lot of supplies, and then you have a lot of generals, like these guys. They'll give the support bonus, so all your units are not ready to fight will be much easier ready. Have the disabled units will be ready, and then you get more assault strength, and this will normally increase then the garrison power of Manchukuo, and then you can take more stuff out of this. So it is always a benefit. Also, I do this now here in Manchukuo. I more or less I say every base 100 additional heavy industry. This is after that time, if the 100 is over, then it's too late to build anything more. So I would say June, I said this before, roughly I think June of 42, after that I will not build more any heavy industry. And in this game is of course everything shitty, like I said sometimes before. And the guys before, they build everything but not heavy industry. I mean, they're making strange decisions like a shipyard of 100 in Tokyo. Who needs this? But okay, not again the same road. So China is still China need organization time, shipping line need organization time. This small engagement in China was only for fun, it have no real impact. We lose a big cargo ship, but okay, it doesn't matter because I can show this. Compared to my other game, you can see that the Japanese lost already all dates on points. We lost even a battleship, and then many other stuff. You can see a trend, so much heavy equipment, so many heavy cargo ships. But I think I showed this before, and compare this to the Allies again. Huh? Oh, 6 out. Also, you can see this. It's. You can also see this on this. I mean, 100 Japanese with 1,100 points to 200 Allies with 1,100 points. And this in the best time of the game, of course, this is super crazy shitty. Okay, so, but because I'm a little tired of this stuff and I can do everything alone, but I want to simply offer feedback about this. You can tell me what you think is the best what I do now here with this shitty, or I don't call it shitty, but I would say with this air industry. This is now airframe production, and you can see here what I produce now. Because I need a lot of zeros, because zeros are normally the best fighters. The next fighter I would normally produce is the A6M5. So I have to produce this a lot. And I don't increase this. This is already from before. So we try to ramp up here to 200 zeros per month production. If this makes sense, of course not. But I don't want to question this now. So we also need some torpedo bombers. So this is also okay. I also increased the production. I think this I don't know more. But the dive bomber, you normally use a lot of dive bombers. Dive bombers die so early, and you have many squadrons. They're needing dive bombers, and this is okay, I would say. The Jack with 90 is also okay. So the first question I would say is normally this Glen. I stopped this production because you don't need Glens. Normally I would change it to a Jack and produce more Jacks, because the Japanese, the Jack is the best float plane for the Japanese. This is simply, there's no need for this Glen float plane. The question is now already, I have already a production of 90 per month, and this is maybe already enough. So maybe I can go with something else. So I can change the factory to something else. The Nels M2, I don't want more. I have already some in pool, and normally you can see the next edition is coming. Whoop, I miss it. I cannot see it here. I forgot. Because this is with R&D historical or something like this. So, but there is normally soon this G3, M3 coming, and I'm waiting for this. So I say already, okay, yeah, if upgrade is coming, upgrade this factory. But I don't want to produce more this outdated airplane. I have them in pool, then it's fine. The Betty, I keep the production with 50, okay. Because you see the pool is low. I would always go to 80 Bettys, then I would maybe stop the production first again. But Betty's burning easily, and they are still so far the best long-range Navy torpedo bombers, so it's okay. Here you also need H6, you need some in pool, so I keep the production on. The Sallies I have now under production because there was nothing in pool. And the Japanese, they lost so many bombers so far. that I need something. And I can wait now for Helen. But because AMD is not the best, I would say I keep this now under production. I would also say it's okay. Then is the next, the IDA. The IDA, of course, no one needs. I really don't know who did this, but I take it over like this. So it's still increasing, so I produce it still, but normally I won't change it. So normally the Glen and the IDA can change, but tell me for what I can change. Or if you want, say here, and change some numbers, you can also see here, tell me what. Oscar 1C, I need a lot of Oscars because there's no buffer and the Japanese lost far too many fighters. Here, this is not, this is all original, so not for me. Normally, I don't think it makes sense to go with if you increase one factory, so to this high numbers, you can see this is 150 in total. You need 82 days to arrive there. I don't think it makes sense to you pay all this money at once, and then you only can repair one day, one factory, and you need 82 days to arrive at your maximum possibility. It makes much more sense to have 3 or 4 factories, and then you say, okay, everyone have 40. Then you can much faster arrive at your maximum output. But okay. Okay. So, and the next stuff is normally the Key 46 I need, because this is still the best long range recon plane, but I have also this Talia and this Tina. Normally I don't need them. So these 2 factories I can change, the IDA I can change, and normally the Glen I can change. These are 4 factories I can change to something else. Tell me where you think or what you think is the most important here. You can see that I lack a lot of stuff. It's hard to say what really to produce. I would maybe really change the Glens to more Jacks, and maybe the IDA to more Sallys, and this 2 maybe change 1 to Key 46 and 1. Hard to say. So tell me. You can tell me what you think is best. Because it normally doesn't matter so much, because there's simply too much mess up. And this is now the engine production only, because you must always keep in mind that normally engine production, airframe production, A&D, they are linked to each other. The engines normally can produce a bonus for the A&D if you reach over 500 in pool. You also can see that the H32, the pool of engines are dry. So this is also the reason you cannot simply increase the airframe production to unlimited numbers or high numbers and not take into account how many engines you produce. That is totally stupid. You must normally have an overproduction of engines before you have an overproduction of airframes. I mean, I would know. Yeah, you don't must go with totally overproduction of engines, but normally you first produce engines. You maybe try to reach the 500 pool, and then you level your airframe production to this. But okay, you can see here. Nothing in pool. H33. This is nothing. You need at least 100 or more to buffer this. And this is okay. We produce a lot of H33, but the problem is this is a high-end game engine. You can see, if you are good, you can get this at the January 44 like this. So this is really purely end game stuff. But 4 factories is maybe first okay. Here H40, so there we have enough in pool, and here we have normally far too less in pool. I would say the H35 and maybe the H45 are the 2 top engines you need as soon as possible 500 in pool to get the R&D bonus, because these 2 engines are your main fighter engines, but also bombers use this H45, and I mean, but most of the fighters use at the beginning the H35, Oscar, Zero, and I think also Nick and others, they all use H35, so this is a really important engine. And so it makes sense normally to push this output of engines early on high numbers to get the 500. But for God's sake, don't do something like this. This is shitty, because of course I need 139 days to reach here the maximum. Here 232 days. In 232 days this engine is maybe not more really useful, than I already switched to the H45. So I know this is not always easy to understand, and I know that this game lack in-game help options and how tooltips or like this. This game is really old, and at that time there was you need maybe let's say at least 1 month to only understand the rules, and then you play the game. Then you go back and read against the rules 1 month, and then you play again. But you can really not start this game. I mean, you can do this, but it will not work. And you play a little, touch everything, change some numbers, and then realize, oh, it's not working, and then run away. But anyway, the problem is that this game don't allow you to take anything back. This investment of heavy industry and supplies is already locked here in this case. I mean, I can upgrade this now. Every day I get 1 additional factory. Yeah, okay. I mean, in the long run, but it's not really optimized. It's okay. Okay, so this is engine production. And I already fixed here a lot of stuff. There was a lot of other stuff I took over the game that was much more worse. I already streamlined a lot and focused for what is really important, but you can see it's not possible for me to catch up with this low engine production. And the R&D stuff is still here, but I think the R&D stuff is here. This is okay, I cannot touch this, and this because this is also with the R&D is historical, I think, or how you call this, here with realistic R&D. So it is not possible to change from production to R&D. So the R&D tool is more or less fixed. You start with the R&D tools. The games tell you have simply, I don't know how many, but you can see here all this. These are all R&D tools, like 40 R&D tools. You can change the number, the size of a R&D tool, but you cannot create new one, and you cannot switch R&D to production and from production back to R&D. And this feature is okay. I would say this, I would also maybe play next time with this, give a little more limitation to the Japanese player. But of course it's if you're new to the game, I would say no, keep it open, because then you can shift stuff more behind. And after you play this game 2-3 times and really understand the rules, then you can say go for realistic R&D, because then everything what you do is much more seriously, and you need much more thinking in the future. Goody, but I won't stop now here because this game is let me feel tired. Anyway, Never give up. See you next time. Take care. Bye bye.